The lecture that we have covered till up to now. In that lecture we have discussed about the blood and partial composition of blood. We know that the blood has a different type of composition. We have covered about one part of the blood composition, and that is plasma. We are talking about the second part of the blood composition, that is RBC. We have seen the general part of the RBC, and now we are going to talk about the anatomy of the RBC cells. As we all knows that the word anatomy refers that the physical appearance of the system. Anything that we are going to talk about about the system is what the anatomical system is, that of we are talking about that. Okay, so the word anatomy refers to the outer appearance. At the screen, the outer part of the RBC you can see. Okay, so first of it, what you can observe at the structure, first of it, that its structure is biconcave. Okay, biconcave structure of RBC, biconcave outer structure of RBC, biconcave structure of RBC, or you can say that it is a biconcave disc. Okay, biconcave disc. Okay, it is something like that. Okay, biconcave, you can clearly observe at the screen. So if it is like that, then it has the sum of the diameter. Then what is its diameter? Second point is diameter. So diameter is about 7 to 8 micrometer. Okay, 7 to 8 micrometer. We all knows that the RBC contain a respiratory pigment, that is what? Hemoglobin. Hemoglobin contain the oxygen, which helps in the exchange of gases, breathing, and different type of the substances like diffusion. Okay, so next point is that matured RBC cells have a simple structure. Mature RBC cells have a simple structure. Have a simple structure. Simple structure. Okay, simple structure means it don't have any mitochondria, plastid, Golgi body complex, plastid. Okay, it only have its own body surface and plasma membrane. As okay, next is RBC contain a pigment called hemoglobin. RBC contain a pigment called hemoglobin. Hemoglobin, which is a respiratory pigment. Okay, hemoglobin is what? Respiratory pigment. Hemoglobin is a respiratory pigment. Okay, which helps in the exchange of gases. Help in exchange of gases. In the NCRT you can also see that all things. Okay, same NCRT reference से ही है books ये. Okay, at the screen I will put some lines also that you can also read. Okay, I'm not covered everything that all in the line by line. I will put the diagrams and some lines that would be as your referral notes. You can take it. Okay, next is their plasma membrane. प्लाज्मा मेम्ब्रेन, एज वी नो, इसके पास मेनली प्लाज्मा मेम्ब्रेन ही होता है. इट्स प्लाज्मा मेम्ब्रेन इज सॉफ्ट एंड फ्लेक्सिबल. its plasma membrane is soft and flexible, which provides it to stability and prevents the rupturing of the plasma membrane and the RBC cells when it passes through the narrow blood vessels. Okay, when it passes through the narrow blood vessels. Okay, for example, it is a blood vessels. Okay. Hmm. It is the blood vessels. Here your hemoglobin cells are there. Hemoglobin cells are there. These are the hemoglobin cells. Okay, we can see that it is the hemoglobin. Okay, when we observe here, diameter of the blood vessel is more, but here at that particular part, diameter of the blood vessel is less. So when the hemoglobin particle will passes through there to there, they would be forced to rupture, but they are flexible to deform its shape and size. So they will deform itself and passes easily through the narrow blood vessels also. Okay, it is the profit of being soft and flexible of the RBC cells. Okay, yes, so they can deform themselves. They can deform themselves also. Okay, when they are passes through the narrow blood, when they are passes through the narrow blood vessels and prevents the rupturing of the blood vessels and RBC cells also. RBC cells don't have any nucleus. RBC cells don't have nucleus and other metabolic machinery, so that how much the oxygen content hemoglobin will passes, it did not use any amount or any unit of the oxygen that it covered, that it taken. Okay, so next point is, just imagine hemoglobin. Okay, this hemoglobin has 20 unit of oxygen. 20 unit of oxygen. This hemoglobin has the 20 unit of oxygen. अब हीमोग्लोबिन के पास नो न्यूक्लियस. ओके, नो माइटोकॉन्ड्रिया. नो प्लास्टिड. नो अदर सेल मशीनरी. ओके, नो अदर सेल मशीनरी. So that all 20 unit of oxygen will transfer to one place to another place when it is needed by the hemoglobin. So hemoglobin respirate anaerobically. Anaerobically means the hemoglobin does not use any unit of oxygen itself. जितना का जितना ऑक्सीजन यूनिट हीमोग्लोबिन के पास है, उतना का उतना पूरा ऑक्सीजन यूनिट हीमोग्लोबिन विल ट्रांसफर टू द रिस्पेक्टिव प्लेसेस वेयर इट इज नीडेड. ओके, आरबीसी सेल्स की लाइफ स्पैन 120 डेज. आरबीसी साइज की सेल्स की लाइफ स्पैन 120 days. Before 120 days, the hemoglobin are get synthesized. The hemoglobin are get synthesized. Okay, and transfer the oxygen. And transfer the oxygen. Okay. As the blood, as the skin, you can see that outer appearance of the all corpuscles like RBC, WBC and platelets in the single image that is going on, you can see. Okay, 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 have you seen? Okay, any of the oxygen itself. Okay, after 120 days the hemoglobin are get decomposed or hemoglobin are get break down. hemoglobin का ब्रेक डाउन हुआ, हीमोग्लोबिन का ब्रेक डाउन हुआ, देन द हीमोग्लोबिन will decompose into the two part. One is heme and one is globin. The word heme refers to the iron in the ferrous condition Fe2 plus ferric ion, and the globin is a protein which will help further into the process formation of hematopoiesis. blood formation के process में it will help in hematopoiesis. Okay, it will help in hematopoiesis, and the heme part, that is iron part. Okay, this protein part has the two type of the bonds. Okay, this protein has the two type of the bonds, and it contains the four bonds. It contains the four bonds. In four, two alpha bonds and two beta bonds. Okay, so we have discussed the anatomy of the RBC cells. We have covered it, anatomy of the RBC cells. Okay, next is the physiology of the RBC cells. But before going to the physiology of the RBC cells, I think we need to discuss about the how the corpuscles are formed. Okay, so a quick recap करते हैं. Just imagine hemoglobin has the 20 unit of the oxygen, but we all know that the hemoglobin don't use any type of the oxygen. Why? Because they don't have the any nucleus, not the mitochondria, like they don't have any metabolic machinery. Okay, so that it can be used oxygen molecules. It respirate anaerobically. It get respirate anaerobically, so it did not use any type of the oxygen content. Hemoglobin does not use any oxygen content itself. RBC cells की लाइफ स्पैन 120 days है. After 120 days they became decomposed, but before the decomposition of the RBC cells, the hemoglobin transfer the whole amount of the oxygen content that is given by the hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is a respiratory pigment which helps to transfer of the oxygen content, okay, by the blood stream. Next, hemoglobin. When the hemoglobin is broken down, it will decompose into the two part of the, one is heme and one is globin. Heme is the ferrous part, that means iron part, which lies in the form of Fe2 plus ferric ion, ferrous ion. Second is the globin, which is a protein. It further will help into the process of hematopoiesis. The globin protein contain the four type of the bonds. One is sigma and one is pi. It contain the two sigma and two pi bonds. It has asked in CUT many types के क्वेश्चन बने इस पे CUT पे. It has been asked in 3 or 4 times in CUT exam. Okay. As the skin, you have seen some lines. Okay, in the form of note I have provided it. Okay, you can check it and read it. मैं सिर्फ इसकी समरी कर रहा हूँ. You can read and note it as your note form. When the blood cells are become to form, how the blood cells are get formed. Okay, blood formation हो चुका हमारा, बट द कार्पोसेल्स फॉर्मेशन कार्पोसेल्स का फॉर्मेशन कैसे होता है, हाउ द कार्पोसेल्स आर गेट फॉर्म्ड. आरबीसी कैसे फॉर्म होती है, डब्ल्यूबीसी कैसे फॉर्म्स होती है, मोनोसाइट, ल्यूकोसाइट, monocyte, lymphocyte, okay, eosinophils, basophils, neutrophils, natural killer cells, how these all are forms, okay. So first of all, in order to form blood cells, pluripotent stem cell in red bone marrow produce two further type of the stem cell. Okay, suppose it is our red bone marrow. It is our red bone marrow. In the red bone marrow, the pluripotent stem cell produce two type of the cells. It is your what? Pluripotent stem cell. Pluripotent stem cell. In the pluripotent stem cell, red bone marrow has the capacity to produce the two type of the cells from the pluripotent stem cells. That two type of the cells from the pluripotent stem cell, and these both two type of the cells have the capacity to reproduce further. Okay, in that one is myeloid stem cell, myeloid stem cell, lymphoid stem cell, and one is lymphoid stem cell. Okay, myeloid stem cell begin their development. This is the myeloid stem cell. Myeloid stem cell begin their development into the red bone marrow. Okay, develop their into the red bone marrow and gives rise to the red blood cells, RBC, platelets, monocytes, neutrophils, eosinophils, basophils, and mast cell, and also the natural killer cells also. Okay, this myeloid stem cell start their development. Myeloid stem cell start their development at, या फिर हो सकते इन रेड बोन मैरो, in red bone marrow. Okay, these myeloid stem cell and further forms the RBC cells, monocyte cells, RBC cells, monocyte, lymphocyte, monocyte, not that lymphocyte, monocyte, then neutrophils, eosinophils, and basophils. RBC, monocyte, neutrophils, eosinophils, basophils, and we can say that what? Platelets. And it also forms the natural killer cell. Natural killer cell. Okay. In the lymphoid stem cell, the lymphoid stem cell start their development into the red bone marrow, RBM. They start their development into the red bone marrow and further forms the lymphocytes and natural killer cells. Okay, they start their development at the red bone marrow, या फिर in the red bone marrow, but they complete their development into the lymphatic tissue. They complete their development into the lymphatic tissues. Okay, they complete their development into the lymphatic tissues. First, they will start their development into the red bone marrow, but at the middle of the stage of the development, they undergoes into the lymphatic tissues, and there they complete their development. Okay, after the development, they produces the lymphocyte. Okay, they produces the lymphocyte and natural killer cells. Lymphocyte and natural killer cells. natural killer cells. Okay. Eosinophils, basophils, neutrophils are get described as the granulocyte, or you can say that granular nucleocyte, where the monocyte, lymphocyte, and here, okay, this is the lymphocyte. The lymphocyte will further divided into the T lymphocyte and B lymphocyte. These are further divided into the T lymphocyte and B lymphocyte. ये कम्प्लीटली आपको स्क्रीन पे एक फॉर्म ऐसा पीपीटी के फॉर्म में दिख रहा. ओके, here I have only covered the summary of the PPTs that I have provided at the screen. Okay, so monocyte changes into the macrophages, one extra point it is. Okay, this is all about the monocytes. One recap also: pluripotent stem cell, it is the germ cell. Okay, question is, what is the germ cell of the blood? Okay, or what is the germ cell of the corpuscles? Pluripotent stem cell is the germ cell of the corpuscles. Where the pluripotent stem cells are formed? Into the red bone marrow. Where the RBC cells are start their development? Into the red bone marrow. Where the lymphoid stem cell are start their development? Into the red bone marrow, but complete into the lymphatic tissues. Myeloid stem cell start their development into the red bone marrow, and complete there. Okay, then they further colony forming unit are there, which are further decomposes into the RBC, monocyte, neutrophils, eosinophils, basophils, platelets, and natural killer cells also. In the lymphatic system, lymphoid stem cells are start their development into the red bone marrow, but they are degraded into the lymphatic tissues, and complete their development into the lymphatic tissues. And after the completion of their development, they produces the lymphocyte and natural killer cells. The lymphocytes are further get divided into the T lymphocyte and B lymphocyte. Okay, here two words are there: granulocyte and agranulocyte. Granulocyte, agranulocyte. Granulocyte and agranulocyte. In the granulocyte, the formed element of the RBC, the formed element of the blood that contains the granule into their inner composition are called as the granulocytes. In the granulocyte section, we have the eosinophils. We have the eosinophils, basophils, neutrophils, okay, eosinophils, basophils, where the agranulocytes contain the T lymphocyte, okay, and B lymphocyte. T lymphocyte and B lymphocyte. Then eosinophils, basophils, and neutrophils. Eosinophils, basophils, neutrophils, these are separate to each other. Okay, in the eosinophils nucleus has the 2 lobes, and basophils nucleus has the 3 lobes, and neutrophils nucleus has the 3 or more than 3 lobes. Okay, eosinophils are dyes by the basic dye, while the basophils are dyes by the acidic dye. न्यूट्रोफिल्स को डाई करने के लिए न्यूट्रोफिल्स को एग्जामिन करने के लिए किसी भी टाइप की डाई की जरूरत नहीं होती. न्यूट्रोफिल्स को ऐसे ही डाई किया जा सकता है. ओके, so till up to the lecture we have covered the RBC. In the next lecture we will discuss about the anatomy. We have discussed physiology of the RBC cells, that how the RBC cells are formed. Okay.